Welcome, everybody, to the PodAskew Podcast. I am CJ, and always with me is my hetero life mate, Rico. Oh, wait, Rico's not here. That's because I'm introducing part 2 of the Matt Granger story. That cool moment he was about to tell us about? Here it is. I know I made you wait, and that's the evil motherfucker that I am. Those first set of stories were amazing, and his next set is even better. He hip checks a famous director into a bush. Wait till you hear that one. Without any further ado, here comes Matt Granger, part 2.
I had this really cool moment. You know, I'm a relatively self-deprecating guy when it comes to this shit, and I'm to a fault actually. And I've been told this by several people that I would probably be far more successful if I was less self-deprecating, and a little more aggressive in my manner. But I had this moment. We were prepping the second 50 Shades of Grey movie. I did all 3 of those, and we were prepping that. And I remember I was with the guys, and we were on a little location scout, and with us was, like, you know, the first AD, who was, you know, he had first AD on like a couple of the Wolverine movies. You know, he had done a bunch of stuff. You know, and I looked at him and I'm like, wow. And then I looked at, like, my boss, who was the line producer, and I was like looking at him and I was going like, fuck, that guy did this movie and that movie and this movie and this movie. This guy's had a fucking career. Holy shit. And I looked at the cinematographer, and it was John Schwartzman, who did, who is, he's a Coppola, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's Talia Shire's son. But I'm looking at Schwartzman, and I'm like, fuck, that guy's done some crazy shit. That guy's a Coppola, for Christ's sake. And then I'm looking at, all these people that we're with, and I'm like, wow, there's a really great group of people. I'm like hanging with the people who made those movies. And then, you know what I fucking realized? That I was one of them too. Yeah. And I was like, and that was this moment of, like, self-realization, where I realized how much I appreciate this job, you know, and this thing. And I see it honestly as a privilege a lot of the time, to be able to go to work and, you know, and be able to go and spend 6 months learning powerful life lessons from a guy like Russell Crowe, who I became very close with when we did Superman. And that's, I mean, I can't tell the story, but I can tell you that if it weren't for that guy, my life would not be the same today. My life changed dramatically because of my association for 6 months of becoming that his friend. I'm
sorry, man. I was just gonna say, can you at least tell me, is and if you can, I respect that, but is he as nice as he comes across? I mean, is that, I'm assuming such. Yeah.
Russell Crowe is, I will never say a bad word about him.
Okay.
Quite simply because I was going through an incredibly difficult time of my life when I was with him, which he became aware of. And in the end, he did something for me that was so kind and so generous and so life altering. Like, legitimately, I can't really go into what it was because I have NDAs, but if it weren't for Russell Crowe, I'm not sure I'd be here telling this story today. I can say that.
Wow.
And
okay.
He did something of such incredible kindness for me, to teach me about life, to teach me. I'm considering writing this story into a movie because it's just like a tearjerker fucking story. I'm considering writing.
I don't know what the fuck is going on, but
but he taught me more about life. He taught me more about how to cope with personal problems. He took me under his wing like a teacher. And by doing that, I have nothing but the utmost respect and I just for that guy. But if it wasn't for this business, those are the type of things that you don't experience that. You know what I mean? Like, right. People don't. You know, and I have to, every day when I go into work, And I could be down about personal stuff. I could be, feeling like, for example, my life right now is pure chaos. Like my personal life, because, I've gone through a big breakup. I've moved. I've lived in the same place for like 15 years and I was forced to move. Both my brother and I switched jobs at the last minute and like all happened on the same day type thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I'm now able to go, when I go to work, I go in and I feel so privileged to be able to be in that environment and be with those people and learn things every day that are new and to have, accomplishments, of my own that solving a problem on a movie set is a victory. And, we used to, on X-Men 1, we called it save the movie pin is what we call it. Is if someone did something that kind of fixed the fucking huge problem. It's like, oh, it gets to save the movie pin. And, and to this day, I'm more thankful for the last 20 years of my life, as far as my career goes, than I think I'm thankful for anything in the world. It has changed me. It has molded me. It has taught me. It has been therapy for me at times. It has introduced me to people who became very, very close friends. And what's really interesting about it is, like, if you go to work at, say you work at a lumber yard, right? You're working with a bunch of carpenters. That's the people who you're with. You work at, say you work on a railroad, you're working with a bunch of trained people, right? But in this business, what is so dynamic and so wonderful about it, and I think might be the two aspects of it are super interesting, is that there is such a disparate amount of groups of people. You've got carpenters, you've got artisans, you've got drivers who know how to slam around a base camp, in 15 minutes, park a base camp and put those trailers all together like that in tight spots. You've got artists, you've got businessmen, you've got painters, you've got just basic construction, you've got you've got writers, you've got actors, you've got producers who are the money, who are the math, you've got mathematicians there's just such a wide variety of people you work with that it's incredible to see it work, because you're like, no two people here are the same. And no two people here are doing the same. Well, they're obviously departmentally, but there's no two people doing the same thing. So you have this really interesting cross-section of people that you're exposed to at all times. And they're all very different. And an AD's personality, you know what I mean? And a director's personality, and a transport driver's personality, and there's going to be this thing. And that to me is a huge part of it, is just the great amount of variety of human being you meet being on a movie set. That's a big deal to me. And the other thing that I actually got in a conversation with a props master about this the other day, and it was a pretty interesting conversation, is we were talking about that the only people who can operate like we do is the military. And I'll tell you what we were talking about was not that we're going to go murder innocents, but although we probably have, but the idea being is that we can create a self-sustaining mini city wherever we go as a film crew.
Right.
We can drop into a place. We have food, we have clothing, we have carpenters, we have handymen, we have vehicles, we have everything, and we can, with precision, show up in a morning and build a city in an hour, and you're feeding people and you're clothing people, and that's the kind of precision a film crew works with. And that's something that I'm really blown away by it. I love that aspect of the film business, is that there is that just this efficiency of work for a lot of people. There's this variety of people, and it's and you're always meeting new people, and you make a friend with somebody for 6 months to a year, and then you don't see them again for 4 years, and then you pick up where you left off 4 years later when you happen to work with each other again. But you do develop very, very close relationships on film sets. That's why people have affairs, I'm sure. because you're close. You're close. You're very, very close for a very, very long amount of time, many, many hours in the day. But and again, like I said, it's like that. The film business is the love of my life, and I'm thankful for it every second of the day. I really, really am. No matter how tough it fucking gets, and it does get tough. But it's
you just validated the fact that my job is as shitty as I think it is. So
no, don't say that.
No.
Oh, come on,
Dude, I work. How do you think I feel? I work at a fucking video rental store.
At least
dude,
you do something you
I will tell you.
love.
I worked in a video rental store for fucking ever, dude. I loved working in a video store. I worked in a video store.
I love it too.
It's great. You have access.
I'll tell you, Matt, that Enrico knows this. We've talked about it, but sadly he doesn't remember this place, which is the scary part. But I worked at a Sam Goody for like 5 years.
Oh yeah, of course. I remember Sam Goody.
Because my passion is music. That's where my
on.
passion lies. Like your passion, Rico's passion, is more in movies. My passion is in music.
Sure.
I have a
What kind of
disability that's not worth getting into tonight. I'm all about sharing. It's just not worth talking about it tonight. But it doesn't allow me to perform it in any capacity. But I have such a love for it, and so I dove into like the business end of it and also the history of it. So like I study music in that regard. So I know what you're talking about. Like sitting in Sam Goody for 5 years was like, it was gold. I mean, it was a shitty retail job in the sense that it's a retail job. But at the same time,
hey, I did that for years too.
Yeah,
I
got paid to stand around, dress all in black, and talk about music all day. I was thrilled,
exactly.
So
Not much
same thing.
no, not except I don't get paid for it anymore.
Yeah, right.
So.
But that's like to be honest with you, I worked in a video store for, I would say, fucking for a good part of my 20s. Like I would say from probably 22 through maybe, I don't even know. I didn't get into the film industry until I was 27. So
see, there's hope for you, Rico. It's your year. It's your year, buddy.
There's hope for me. I just turned 27, and
there you go, brother.
I love my job. I complain about it a lot, but I do have that satisfaction of being able to talk about movies, watch movies, just bullshit. But one of my major highlights is the video store I work at. I live out in Oakland, California.
Yeah.
So the Bay Area. So Colin Trevorrow worked at the video store that I worked at 20 years ago.
Oh, that's cool. Right on.
So when I first found out, we had Jurassic World. We were about to get on in like a couple weeks. This guy comes in, and he said, "Hey, do you guys have that yet?" And I said, "No, probably a couple weeks." And he said, "Oh, okay." My brother directed. I said, "Bullshit! Your brother directed Jurassic World." And because I was so ignorant and naive, I had never seen an interview of Colin Trevorrow. I thought he was British. I thought his name was Colin Trevorrow.
I thought it was Trevorrow too.
Yeah, I thought it just sounds like a very English name. It's like, no, dude. Like I was like, you're not Colin Trevorrow's brother. He's like, well, it's Trevorrow. It rhymes with tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, sure. You're Colin Trevorrow's brother. And I was like, let me see your ID because I guarantee no one has that fucking last name. And he pulled out his fucking ID, and sure enough, it was like this dude's brother. I was like, dude, that's fucking awesome. And this is when Colin had just been hired to do Star Wars 9, which now he's not going to do.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was like, holy shit, I work in the same, like, that's fucking awesome. I was like, can you tell me about it? He's like, oh, well, I can't really tell you about it, but I can tell you that he used to work here. And I'm like, what the fuck? I got
hilarious.
6 degrees of separation from fucking Mark Hamill, and Mark Hamill's from Oakland too. But I'm like, and then it all went away. I have no connection to fucking Mark Hamill anymore. I'm upset.
That's sad. I would love to know Mark Hamill. I think hanging out with Mark Hamill would be the most fun thing in the world.
I would agree.
But
until he pulls out his Joker and you're just like, oh shit. This guy's too good at being this creepy, like, hello, Betsy, I'm going to kill you.
I loved his Joker, man. I thought his Joker was great. I thought his Joker was awesome.
The only one, I wouldn't even say better, but Enrico, and we've talked about this, but because you can't compare it because it's apples to oranges because of on-screen versus vocal, but Heath Ledger for me. But
Jesus.
But, I mean, Hamill for voice. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not taking away from Mark when I say that, because I've heard Joker on other DC animated that isn't done by... one of them was done by... oh, God. Who is the big bad guy in Lost? What was his name?
Michael Emerson.
Yeah, Michael Emerson does it on... I think it's Dark Knight Returns is the one he does the Joker. And it doesn't have the same power or impact as Hamill.
Right.
But I like his premise for that. Because he did an impression of Paul Lynde. And I was like, that is such a really obscure voice to use for the Joker. Whether it worked or not, it was just like, Batman, darling. Like, you're just like, whoa, holy shit, that's fucking Templeton.
Wow.
So
I was blown away. In terms of Dark Knight Returns, it was fine. But for pound, the other Joker voice that I always loved was John DiMaggio's for Under the Red Hood.
Oh, yeah.
CJ, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know who he is. I mean, I can't, if you put him in a lineup, I couldn't pick him out, but I'm familiar with the name, and I'm sure I've heard him before.
Well, he's Bender from Futurama.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right,
okay,
yeah.
He kind of looks like, really bad comparison, and I'm going to show my geekness right now, but he kind of looks like Sheamus from the WWE. Like, if you put those two side by side, it would be the same guy. Just saying.
That's hilarious.
He kind of looks like a redhead Michael Zapsik, actually.
Well, yeah, but so does Sheamus. So I'll give you that too.
Okay.
My brother has a really interesting theory on the Joker. It came out of everybody shitting on Jared Leto's Joker. Deservedly, but
rightfully so, for sure. Yeah.
But my brother's theory is very simple. He goes, every Joker that's ever been has been perfect for its age. He goes, think about, go back to Cesar Romero. He goes, that was perfect for the 60s. He goes, you go back to Nicholson. That was perfect for that era of Batman. Then you go to Heath Ledger. He goes, that era when we were kind of growing up and kind of getting our feet in the world, that Heath Ledger Batman came out. And that was sort of that punk rocker attitude that we still had, because we grew up in the punk scene. And, and then this new one came out and you're like, little shithead millennial fucking loser, and it's perfect. It's perfect. It fits in exactly with the eras. You know what I mean? So you can't, and even Hamill was perfect for that era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's I think the Joker is an interesting character who, again, if DC ever gets their shit straight, they can explore many, 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 many different Joker stories.
I don't want a Joker origin. Maybe you disagree with me on this, Matt, but I don't want to know where he comes from. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't need that.
I can't.
There's something about him just being what he is.
Yeah. The closest you get is Killing Joke. That's fine. Never give him a name. Have him be a struggling comedian. Have him fall in a vat of acid. Have him lose his wife to childbirth or whatever. All that. That's fine. But don't ever fucking give him a name. Don't do what fucking Rob Zombie did for the remake of Halloween.
Oh, you hit a soft spot, dude. You hit a soft spot. Oh,
in a good way? Bad way? Are you?
Man, I fucking hate those fucking movies. Oh my god. Ugh.
Matty, my respect for you has risen considerably, my friend.
Dude, I hung out with Zombie one night. We were shooting a movie in Edmonton, and my screenwriter friend was buddies with him. And this was right after Devil's Rejects. And so he was playing in Edmonton, so we went to the concert and met him and hung out on the bus and shit. And so anyways, I was backstage with him talking, and I had just found out he was going to do Halloween. And I was like, dude, that's going to be wild, because this is coming off of Devil's Rejects, right? Which, by the way, does not, if you watch it now, does not hold up. But I remember saying to him, I was like, dude, I'm like, you could do some really cool shit. And he's like, yeah, man. Well, what I want to do is I want to make it like not a stuntman in a mask. I want to make it a real person. Mama. And then I saw the movie, and guess what it was? It was a stuntman in a fucking mask. And I was like, come on. Like, I was like, how?
Okay.
Yeah, it was Tyler. Yeah.
2 seconds, and then I'll let you guys get back to your thing because you guys are big Halloween fans. I'm not, but I've seen a lot of interviews with Rob Zombie. Yeah. was scary how much that sounded like Rob Zombie. Like, that was really, really good. That was frightening. I seriously thought he jumped on the show for me.
Man. I used to be a big fan until he forgot what he was about.
I was a fan until I saw him live, and it sucks to say that because I know why it was as bad as it was. Apparently, because he's a big cigar smoker, he's destroyed his vocal cords basically.
Yeah.
So like
Not
he
surprised.
can train them up to do like albums, but that's why he hasn't put out new music in so long too. But so when he's on stage, and I don't know what it was like at the show you went to, the one you were just talking about, but he had the crowd singing half the songs back to him.
Yeah.
And
because he can't sing anymore.
Exactly. And that just killed me because I am a fan. And I'm still a fan of the album stuff. Like, it didn't make me like no longer a fan. But anyway, I've heard him talk, and that was really, wow. Okay.
Funny. His bass player married my ex, which is even funnier.
Wait, what? Back that up.
His bass player married. I swear to God, this is no joke. When I broke up with my fiance back in 2010, I guess it was, I did my random dating, and so I met this girl who was this tattoo model from Austria, and so I'm like, okay, so we kind of had a run, and she came over and hung out, and she wanted to move here and all this stuff, and so, but I broke it off because I wasn't over my ex yet, so I broke it off with her. And she goes, "That's it. I'm going to move to Los Angeles." I'm like, "Okay." Next thing you know, she's getting married to Matt Montgomery. I'm like, "That's the funniest. That's the funniest thing in the world." I was like, because I had met him through Zombie, like back in that time when I met him. Like I met him, he's a nice guy, and I was like, "That's so weird." And I was like, "That's why he deleted me from Facebook." Yeah.
Okay, just for a split second, for whatever reason, when you first said it, I was envisioning Sean Yesalt, so I was like, your ex married this girl, which I don't have a problem with.
No.
I'm not against
that's the zombie
but...
chick. No, Matt Montgomery, his current guy.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Matt,
but yeah, it was
you actually do some really good fucking like impressions. Like I loved Quarter Pounder with Cheese, but I fucking think I love A Great Day for Marcellus Wallace, or A Good Day for Marcellus Wallace Day even more, dude. Like,
so
I laugh so fucking hard when you're
hilarious.
Like, "Thanks for the donut, motherfucker." Like, it fucking killed me, dude, because it's such a great premise of just, it leads up to Marcellus Wallace getting hit by a fucking car, and that just ruined the whole fucking day. He's like, "It's a good day to be in fucking Los Angeles, motherfucker." I'm like, when I watched it, because I assumed you also were walking and operating the camera so you were walking as Marcellus Wallace, right?
No, that was my buddy, my friend Rahan was walking, and I was just operating. And then we dubbed the sound later. "Thanks for the donuts, motherfucker."
So, like, I thought I may have seen it like with light in the background, so it may have fucked up the film quality for me. But like, when he reaches out to like pet the dog, I'm like, I think his skin's white. I'm like,
no, it's a brown guy.
Really? I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell.
Total brown guy.
Okay.
Total brown guy. The funny story.
Funnier, the white guy, like, it's like, "I'm Marcellus Wallace." He's just like clear white skin.
Yeah, he's a white guy. Yeah. The funny part about that whole fucking thing, I don't know if you know the whole story of the Quarter Pounder with Cheese thing. Basically, what happened is
MTV contest, right?
Yeah, MTV did it. So it was an MTV contest, and this is in 2009. And what happened is the idea was you did they were doing it in association with the promotion of Inglourious Bastards, yeah. And somewhere online is the video of Tarantino presenting us with the award and shit. Like, it's pretty cool. I saw it.
I saw it. It's fucking awesome, actually.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So you did get. I was gonna ask. You did get to meet Quentin from that.
Oh yeah. That was the second time I'd met him, actually. First time I met him was at a party when I hip checked him into a bush, which is a really weird story. Yeah, dude. I was down visiting some friends in Los Angeles, and we went out to the Beverly Hills Four Seasons, and we were at the bar of the Beverly Hills Four Seasons. And we were standing on this patio. It's a really long, thin patio, right? And I was with some friends and blah blah. We had a bunch of drinks, and I felt someone trying to, and I had my back to this bush, and I felt somebody trying to wiggle between me and the bush, like trying to get past me. And instead of just moving, I decided to be a dick and kind of lean into it. So I leaned back, and I go, whoever this is, fuck him, he's going into the bush. So I lean back, and I put him ass first into this bush, and I turn around and I look, and it's fucking Quentin Tarantino, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And so I went to help him up. And as I did, I said to him, I go, hey man, you should watch out for that bush, is the words that came out of my mouth. And then like classic Tarantino, the dude goes, he goes, well, that would have been very helpful information 1 minute ago. And I was like, that's perfect. And so I ended up in a conversation, because at the time I was working for Alex Proyas, who directed The Crow and iRobot.
Yeah.
And so I was working for Alex Proyas at the time. So we ended up in a discussion, like, he's like, who the fuck are you anyway? So I was like, oh, I work for Alex Proyas and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And who is a lovely dude, by the way. If you ever get a chance to meet Alex Proyas, do it. And we ended up in this like 45-minute conversation about Alex Proyas. It was kind of a weird situation. So when we won the award on MTV and he came up to, congratulate us, and we were with him after the show, I was like, oh, please don't remember the Beverly Hills thing. That's all I could think about. But the story behind that fucking video, the Marcel Wallace thing.
Wait.
So,
did he remember?
No, and I wasn't nearly going to bring it up, man.
No, I didn't think you would, but I was just curious.
I was like, no, I have a feeling Tarantino's kind of the guy who would just punch you in the mouth. If you told him now. But what the interesting story was is anyways, back to let the listeners know what it was. It was Tarantino had done a tour. He's touring his movie, and he was doing the premiere of Inglourious Basterds. And for the Toronto premiere, MTV put on this contest that was, Canada-wide thing where you do a parody of a Tarantino scene, right? So that was the idea. So they had hundreds and hundreds of entries come in. And so we came up with that idea for the Marcellus Wallace's Good Day, because we thought that was the funniest fucking thing in the world. And I still think it's far funnier than the one that we did use. But we entered it, right? We entered the thing. And so we entered the contest with Marcellus Wallace, and my brother and I were out on our patio at our old place. We're sitting there, we're having a beer, and I look at him and I go, do you think that's going to stand a chance to win? And my brother goes, no, I don't. And I was like, yeah, me neither. He goes, you know what's going to win? He goes, some idiot is going to take that quarter pounder with cheese scene and flip it and do it from the French perspective. And then we just kind of sat there in silence for a minute. We went, well, why can't we be that idiot? So we ended up watching the scene, writing it shot for shot instead of covering it, like doing traditional coverage. We shot it shot for shot so we could do it as quick as we could. The next morning, the next day, the deadline was at like 4:00 in the afternoon to enter. So we got up, shot this thing, cut this thing, all in about 2 hours, and entered it. Within, I think, 48 hours, we got a call that said, you guys are in the top 5 finalists or top 3 finalists or whatever it was. So we're like, oh shit. And then they called us back the next day and they go, well, just so you know, you've won and we're flying you out for the announcement. Don't tell anybody that you've won, but you won. So they flew us out to Toronto, put us up in some swank hotel, dragged us onto MTV. Fucking Eli Roth and Tarantino said very complimentary things about us, which was awesome. And then they gave us a TV and they gave us a big prize thing. And then we went and watched Inglourious Basterds with Tarantino that night, and he was like, "Yeah, he was in the row right in front of us. It was cool as shit." And it was a cool surprising event. You know what I mean? It was fun, and so that was August of 2009, I think. August of 2009. So yeah.
What they didn't tell you in advance, though, was you were going to have to pay to ship the TV back to Vancouver.
Right, yeah, exactly. Because I had to pay for that whole fucking thing. Yeah, exactly. But I think the prize was worth about $5,000. I think by the time it was all said and done, with the flights and the hotels and you know, a big ass TV and Blu-ray player, and we were supposed to get the Tarantino library on DVD, but it never showed up. So we just.
That's because he remembered you knocking him in the fucking bush.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh,
yeah, exactly." He was like, "Fuck that guy." Yeah, exactly. So that was a fun event. You know what I mean? So, but the cool part is that I would really enjoy, you know, working with him sometime. I think working. I'm really excited about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think it's going to be cool as shit. Yeah.
You made a joke about, like you said, it looks like Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio are going to basically making a movie about the Granger brothers.
It looks like a Mikey and Matt movie. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It cracks me up. I saw I was like, it looks like me and Mikey. It's so weird. It's so funny.
Well, maybe that is maybe you are an inspiration. Maybe Tarantino is racking his fucking brain and be like, who is that motherfucker who knocked me in that bush?
Knocked me in that bush. Yeah, exactly. That's what it's all about. No, apparently it's Brad Pitt plays Leo DiCaprio's stuntman is apparently what the story is, from what I understand. But I've worked with people who worked close with him before. Like I used to work with David Wasco, who was his production designer for years and years and years and years. And you know, you get to work with neat people. You get to get close to neat people too. You know, and that's enjoyable. You know what I mean? It's enjoyable. I love Tarantino.
Is there someone living or dead that you would want to work with? Like, you know, I mean, going back to like someone that, like, above all, I'd be like, if he rose from the dead, called you up, texted you, whatever, he'd be like, Matty, I want you to fucking work on a movie with me. Who would it be?
Stanley Kubrick, without a question. Like Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That would be it. That would be it. He's just on another level, man. There's nobody.
If that ever happens, could you get him to explain Eyes Wide Shut to me? Because I still don't fucking understand it. I mean, it's beautiful and I love watching it, but I still don't understand it.
It's the one movie of his I've never watched because I can't stand the sight of Tom Cruise. I just can't stand looking at Tom Cruise.
Okay.
So I've never actually seen Eyes Wide Shut. But you know what I did do, which was really cool a couple of years ago? My ex bought me tickets to this traveling roadshow of Kubrick type thing. And what it was basically a museum with a room dedicated to every one of his pictures. And in each room was, you know, original costumes, original props, his annotated scripts, notes he'd written to himself. Like, you went into, like, you know, the Shining room. It was like Danny's sweater was in there. The typewriter was in there. The axe was in there. The carpet was there. The red rum door was there. You went into the Clockwork Orange room. You felt like you were in the milk bar. You know, it was pretty. You know, and you went the 2001 room had the monkeys in it, and it had like a HAL 9000 in it, and it was all these original props and stuff. And then upstairs they had a whole other display. It was Kubrick's camera collection, and it was all the lenses and cameras that he collected over the years, and it was just such a wild thing to see, you know. And you're going like, what the fuck, man? You know, and it's just. I don't know. I admire him, and I admire the level of filmmaker he was, and we will never achieve that again. No. I'm afraid.
No.
I will. We'll never see.
Did you see Ready Player One?
Not yet.
No. Okay.
I will see it.
Because
did someone spoiled any of it for you?
What's that?
Did anyone spoil anything, like any scenes? Okay.
I know nothing.
You are going to fucking shit your pants with happiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, Matt, I would love to have you back after you see it, because there's a part of that movie, and I promise you I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but there's a part of that movie that I think you're going to fall in love with, and I would love to hear your perspective on it. And I think you're going to like, based on the whole conversation, I think you're going to like all of it, but there's a section of it specifically that I think you're just going to love, and I would love to hear your take once you've seen it.
Oh, it's kind of like a wet nightmare. Because it's kind of like a scary scene. Instead of a wet dream, it's just like, holy shit, this is fucking amazing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You've just coined a phrase, my friend. You've coined a phrase.
He's coined a few. Tell him the one that's actually his girlfriend came up with it. But tell him the one about, I think it was Rush Hour. Isn't that the one she coined it after? It's not because Rush Hour is good or bad. What?
Remind me.
Oh no, maybe it was about Die Hard. The converse to chick flicks.
Oh, we were talking. My girlfriend, because Matt, you remember I sent you a couple of those videos I do, Rico's Rants?
Right. Yes.
So I had my girlfriend as a guest, and it was like our first time doing one. I had this like curse where every single time I have a girlfriend, I have to show them the movie Goodfellas.
Right, of course.
Yeah. So we watched it together, and I'm doing my whole thing, and then I'm trying to like come up with a pun, describe it, and be funny. And she's like, "Well, there's chick flicks for girls. This is like a chick flick for dudes. It's a dick flick."
That's a good one.
And I was like, I cannot come up with anything funny for the rest of the fucking episode.
That's exactly it. You got to stare back at that joke forever.
So
that's hilarious.
That is
very funny.
One of my proudest fucking puns with her. Her name is Stephanie, and she's been on the show, so I'm not like revealing anything like her name. But I said, "You gave me a Steph infection."
Very nice.
And she reacted very positively, so I wasn't in the doghouse for that. She actually was like, "That is fucking brilliant. I'm happy with that."
But we've used dick flick a couple times since then because of that. I think that works. So
that's very funny. That's very funny. Yeah, I haven't thought of a good pun in a while, but it's funny. It's like that's the chick flick for a guy is actually that's what I'm writing right now. That's my dick flick. The one that I'm going to, that's the one I'm starting to outline right now is actually that story about, it's going to be like a Devil Wears Prada for dudes is how I'm kind of
just call it
pitch.
Dick Flick.
Call it Dick Flick. There you go. Yeah.
Matty Granger presents Dick Flick.
Dick Flick.
All be like, oh, God, they started doing porn. How awesome is that?
It's very short and it was shot on an iPhone.
Oh,
it's a very short dick flick. Got it.
If they can put out a movie called Cock Blockers, I think you can put out a movie called Dick Flick.
I know. They called them called Cock Blockers. I was like, Jesus, man.
No, dude, it's just called Blockers. But there's a picture. There's a silhouette of a chicken. Before you get the joke.
That's true.
Well, yeah,
no, that's true. That's true.
But come on, anyone with half a brain knows that it's called Cock Blockers. I mean, let's be real.
It's so Cock Blockers.
That's so funny.
It's so cock. That's so Cock Blockers.
That's so.
Oh man. So
Matty, do you do a Nicholson? Because I'm sure you.
Everybody's got a Nicholson, and that's the problem with my Nicholson. Is my Nicholson sounds too much like everybody else's Nicholson. So I never actually perfected it. My brother has got an astonishingly good Nicholson. He does a great one, and it was based on a thing we heard on an airplane one time. We were flying somewhere, I forget where we were going, and it was Nicholson. My brother's like, he goes, "You got to turn this on and listen to this, dude." And he's like, "Channel 17 or whatever." I was like, "Turn it on," and it's Nicholson reading a kid's story. It was so fucking weird because it was Nicholson. It was just Nicholson in that Nicholson drawl talking about a bear that had an itchy back and how he had to itch his back against a tree. And it was like, and you know what that bear did? That bear itched its back. And it was good. And it was like, I was like, what the fuck am I listening to? Oh,
is that kind of like Sam Jackson reading the Go the Fuck to Sleep book? Because that makes me laugh every time I've heard it.
You got to hear my buddy Dave Brocky from Gwar read Goodnight Moon.
I've heard that.
Hilarious.
I've heard that.
It is so funny. He does it in character as Odorous.
Yeah.
As Odorous Urungus. And it's just fucking hilarious. He was one of the funniest, rest his soul, he was one of the funniest fucking people I've ever known in my life. He was so good.
You know they're still touring. I don't know how they're doing that without him.
Well, they're friends of mine. I'm actually going to Richmond, Virginia to see them on Friday. Actually, I'm flying to Virginia. I've known those guys a long time. I don't mean any
disrespect to Gwar, but I'm just saying, like, he was such a big part. I mean, they all are, but he especially was like.
Well, it was tough, like it was a very tough transition for those guys.
I'm sure.
It was like, how do you continue Gwar without Dave is a huge, enormous question. But what you gotta look at though is the reality of it is that's their livelihood. You know what I mean?
Well,
That is,
yeah.
you know, that's their livelihood. And it's for them, I don't know if there is a choice. You know, I don't know. Like, if it's your job and it is what you do, and, you know, then I would think that you would want to continue it. And Dave always said that, you know, he said that Gwar was the type of band that could go for 1,000 years. He goes, if we can just continue to perpetuate this thing, you know, people can come and go. That band's had 3,000 members over the years.
Yeah.
I think they could continue. You know, right now, Mike Bishop, who used to be the bass player back in the heyday, is now the singer. So he's singing. And their music has changed quite a bit, which it always did anyways. It was different on every record anyway. But it's changed again, you know, and those guys are very, you know, aware of that. And they're, you know, and I think they're past the struggle of it now. Like, I don't think they're struggling with the how do we do this and living in the mire and under the sort of ghost of Dave Brockie. You know, I don't think that exists anymore. Well, it's always going to be there. Don't get me wrong. But,
right, I get that, and dude, that was all very insightful, and I'm very happy you shared that. My question was quite literal, though. How? Like, how do you do it? Like, what are they doing? Yeah,
well, they're doing what they always did. They're doing what they always did.
They just put somebody else in the Odorous outfit, basically.
No, they've got a character named Blothar, who's the new lead singer. They actually said Odorous is dead. Like, they actually said Odorous is dead.
Well, that's look. I'm a fan, but I'm not an Uber fan, so I don't follow them as closely. So I'm not. I hadn't followed what they were doing, and they're coming to Philadelphia in October because I live just outside Philly, and I heard they were on the bill, and I'm like, how? Because I knew he had passed, and I didn't know they were still touring. So they've never been off tour. Dave passed away in 2014. Yeah, in March of 2014. Then they took a large chunk of that time off, and then that summer they did a Gorbecue. They do a thing called Gorbecue every year. And they introduced the new leads. We did Dave's funeral. Dave's actual funeral was hilariously enough, it was on April Fool's Day. We were at Dave's funeral, like, you know, it was pretty quick after he died, but, you know, knowing Dave, it was on April Fool's Day. Like, his funeral was on April Fool's Day. And there was, you know, 2,000 of his closest friends there. Maybe not 2,000. It was probably more like 400. But his friends and family were there. And it was, not family, but friends. And there's just part of me that was like, he's going to come out on stage and fucking April Fool joke us all right fucking now. And I was like, he's totally going to do it. But basically what they did is that was his real funeral. And then they gave Odorous a funeral, the character. They gave Odorous a funeral at Gorbecue. Yeah. And then that was when that's when they introduced Mike Bishop's character, Blothar. And became the new. From a larger perspective, it's sometimes, especially when you have a character like you do with Gwar, but in general, when you're trying to replace a vocalist in a band who's passed on, it's hard to do. I mean, there are very few bands that have been successful, AC/DC being one of them, when they replaced Bon Scott with Brian Johnson. And not even death sometimes, like, and I'm might be starting a fight here, but we'll see. But I prefer Sammy Hagar with Van Halen over David Lee Roth. So, I mean, you know. Yeah, I knew that was coming. I know I'm in the minority, and I know that, but I just think Sammy's a better singer. Like, David Lee Roth's a better frontman. I won't disagree with that if that's the premise. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's better on stage. But when it comes to vocalism and I think the songwriting was better. I think the vocals were better with Sammy.
Well, they were a different band with Sammy. Yeah, I thought they sound like a completely different band. I thought to me, what I liked about the David Lee Roth years was that David Lee Roth was it was just a party band. It's like you felt like you were at a high school party with your dick out all the time when you listen to old Van Halen. But that's what it felt like for me, man. I was like, yep, I'm listening to Running with the Devil. I know what I'm doing tonight, you know. And that was it. And I felt like I was drunk at a high school party.
I got you. And that makes sense.
It was party rock. It was just party rock to me. You know? It was. I like, you know, I grew up in the punk scene, right? So I was never really into rock. You know what I mean? Okay. I was more of a punk kid, you know, growing up on Black Flag and Minutemen and stuff like that. Okay. so I sort of like knew Van Halen as a kid, but I was never a giant Van Halen guy. Like I was I know the hits. You know what I mean? That's sort of I know the hits.
And so do I. Like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm some huge Van Halen fan. Like my circle falls into like Metallica, Megadeth, Guns N' Roses, White Zombie. So
for sure.
That's where I hover and hang out. I mean, I listen to everything now. Like I said, I worked at Sam Goody, so I mean, I can literally on my iPod go from like Stevie Wonder to Metallica to Slipknot to the B-52s in like 4 moves, so.
Yeah, that's the same as me. I'm completely, I look like a complete psychopath if you go through my iPod. It's just like.
Yeah, so do I. I.
Yeah, it just looks like I'm a complete and utter fucking like no rhyme or reason to anything. It goes from like, well, you know what I'll do? I'm going to flip it open for a second and just see what it does. Okay, so totally. My iTunes say this. So I'm just going to scan through. Let's start with Killing Joke next to The Charlatans.
Yeah.
Next to Motorhead. Next to Rufus. Remember Rufus?
Yeah.
Chaka Khan. Then the Bangles. I got Bangles here.
Yeah.
I've then got the Bangles are like right near Iggy Pop, who is right near, what else we got? What do we got? Gary Newman.
Oh my God.
Followed by Rocky Erickson, followed by Guar, Dayglow Abortions, followed by Electric Six. Like it's just an In Excess. Like what is this? This is schizophrenia.
Right. No, that's honestly mine's in alphabetical order by artist, so I don't get that. But what I do when I listen to my iPod is I put it on random everything, so it'll just jump all over the place.
Yeah.
That's funny. And to that concert that Guar's playing out here, it's something called the Rock Allegiance. It's it's not like a tour. I think they only do like one show right here in Philadelphia, but it's like 20 or 25 bands. Like it's one of those all day festival things.
Yeah.
And
cool.
And the lineup is just fucked up this year. I don't remember all of them, but like the headliners are like Slayer, Guar, and ICP. And I'm
yeah, of course.
And I'm thinking like this is going to be a fucking bloodbath.
Right? Yeah, exactly. There's going to be people get killed at this thing.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near it. A, because I can't afford it right now, but B, I know.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Because it's also here's the other thing about it. It's also a food festival. So there's like 30 or 40 food trucks and like 30 or 40 beer companies that come to this.
Nice.
Thing. So people are going to be eating and drinking and going from Guar to ICP to Slayer.
That's funny. That's hilarious. There's going to be so much chunky vomit.
Yeah. It's going to be Woodstock 99 all over again.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Really what it's going to be.
God, this is funny.
I wanted to ask you about something you said a while ago. Do you have more time or do you need to get going?
Yeah, I got a little bit of time left.
So you talked about the Joker and the different incarnations of the Joker throughout the years. And it kind of made me think about something that Rico and I have argued about on a couple different occasions about because you sat on both sides of the camera, which is why I think you can give us a unique perspective on this. But when you're acting with someone else's writing, you only have so far to stretch within that dialogue, right? So, like, people say Jared Leto's Joker was bad, and I'm not going to sit here and say it was good, but he had to work within what was the construct of the script. Now, he also has to make some choices, as do any other actors, and I get that, so I'm not absolving him per se, but, like, he still is limited to that. So, is it fair, especially for... And I'm not saying any of us because I think we're more educated than that. But like the trolls on like Twitter or Instagram, I'm just saying, "Oh, he's shitty and he should die," and this that. Maybe not die, but you know what I'm saying? Like that level of just vitriol.
Well, you know what? I think that I it takes a lot of people to make a movie.
Absolutely.
It's not. It is like the auteur thing is not around the way it was. So it is truly one of the most collaborative art forms there is. in many, many, many ways. So what you always have to remember is there was a lot of people contributing to what he did. You know what I mean? A lot of people contributed to the tone of the picture, for example. So what version of the Joker is going to fit with the tone of this picture is, a question that, you have to ask of the writers.
Right.
I personally think that everything in the world starts with writing when it comes to movies. Okay. I think that is where it all begins. I think that's the beginning. And I think that the tone of the movie that they wrote, the design of the movie that they wrote, all of that led Leto to that character. That's just the way I see it. There is going to be those long discussions where the Joker or the actor has to sit down with the director and go, okay, what are we doing? How are we going to approach this? What are we going to do? So, the director at some point was contributing to that character as well. The writer contributed to it. The director contributed to it. The actor contributed probably the most to it.
Sure.
But you know what? I think that when you make a movie that's just a bad movie, you're going to get a bad performance here and there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think his performance was necessarily bad. I just thought it was dislikable.
Agreed.
That was what I
Yeah.
didn't like. He's not a bad actor. He's a good actor. Like, I've seen him act a lot of times, and he's really great. And I just think that he, he's a method guy too. When you get into those method headspaces, like Pacino's a method guy. So there's a headspace there, right? There's a certain headspace some actors go to that they rely on. I always find that a little much, you know what I mean? And I find it can sometimes tend to lead to overacting a lot.
Okay.
That's just from what I've seen. So I think if anything, Ledger's Joker, believe it or not, they managed to overact the Joker, but they did.
Ledger or Leto?
You know what I mean? Like, exquisite acting for sure.
Yeah.
Wait, Matt, you said Ledger. Did you mean Leto?
No. Sorry, Leto. Sorry.
Okay, no, I'm just asking because.
Yeah.
To me,
none of this has been about Ledger because Ledger was a fucking genius.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's. I
want my next Joker to be Charlie the Clown.
he'd be the fucking cruelest one there was.
Yeah, probably.
He would just sit there and pick people apart like a narcissist until they cried and shit. He'd just make Batman cry. That would be what he'd do. But I thought Ledger's Joker was pretty incredible, man. Like that was that was something. And I remember when they cast him, I was like, that's an odd fucking choice.
Yeah.
And then I saw it and I was like, my God. And then I really mourned the loss of Heath Ledger because I realized how much good shit we were going to miss in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? He was a really, really good actor. And I thought his Joker was tremendous. I thought it was just great.
Some people have said that he got that Oscar because he died. Do you think he would have got it either way?
Nah, I think he would have got it. I think that was just the other thing is I can't remember who he was up against. There's also that.
True. Yeah, I don't remember either.
Yeah, I don't remember who he was up against. But I don't remember feeling like anybody got robbed. You know what I mean? Like, there's often times when I feel a director or an actor has been completely robbed. My most recent example of a robbed director was George Miller for Fury Road. I think he was robbed of the Best Director Oscar. Completely robbed.
He should have won for Babe the City.
Of course, it was the best thing he ever did. But I looked at Revenant, right? And I saw Revenant, and Revenant. Sure, you went up and you fucking got cold. The whole, sure, you went and got cold. And you shot it with natural light. And you shot it in an interesting way. Not a particularly awesome movie, I didn't find. I thought that the director was fine. You know what I mean? But then I go, yeah, but George Miller took that whole fucking roving fucking car chase for 2 years into the African desert, directed it flawlessly to the point where that movie people will study and scrutinize that movie in schools. You know what I mean? Like, Fury Road was one of the most incredible directorial efforts I have ever seen in a movie. And I really felt that he got robbed of that, because that was a vision. That was a huge vision. And I thought that if you wanted to be the art guy and give Revenant the best picture for art's sake, sure. But don't give that director the director trophy, because that was nothing compared to what Fury Road was. You know what I mean? And the same thing, you know who else got robbed was Jim Cameron. I thought Jim Cameron got robbed when they did Avatar. He was nominated for Best Director for Avatar, and his ex-wife was nominated for Best Director for Hurt Locker. Yeah. Hurt Locker won Best Picture, and it won Best Director. And I was kind of shocked, because I was like, but look at what Avatar is, you know, at the time. Like, that wasn't just a movie. That wasn't just directing some actors. That was an enormous vision that was just so massive that one person was able to undertake that. Like, that is a big fucking movie. And so I think that Best Director Oscar often goes to the wrong place. Like, being the best director doesn't mean you've made the best picture, but it means you've had, you know, at least an enormous vision that other people couldn't do. And I think that, you know, when I put Hurt Locker up against Avatar, I'm like, there's no comparison. And I put Fury Road next to Revenant, I'm like, there's no comparison with what the directors did.
What about something like Goodfellas by Scorsese and Kevin Costner and Dances with Wolves? See, for me, that's a hard one, because I love Goodfellas more than Dances with Wolves, but I see what you're saying. Kevin Costner made a really fantastic film, and the fact that it's really Kevin Costner,
I know.
And, you know, it's sort of like, wow, you just kind of like, I mean, I think this is pre-Waterworld too, so he really was like still top of his game and sort of just jumping into the directorial field, whereas compared to Scorsese, it's like, well, dude, it's fucking Scorsese.
Right.
But I wanted to say, like, I'm glad DiCaprio fucking won for Revenant, just so everyone could shut the fuck up about how he
used to exactly. And now we don't need to fucking hear about it anymore. Like, I'm like, ugh. Like, no, did he deserve it? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. He got cool.
He deserved it. You know? He deserved it just for fucking, like, I mean, I read that he was like a vegan forever, and then he ate like raw bison liver on screen just for the sake of the film.
Yeah.
So when he was like throwing up, you're like, all right, he definitely cares about his fucking movie, but like, I mean, there's going to be Oscars forever. Give him one. Give fucking Downey Jr. one. Johnny Depp one. Fucking everyone gets a fucking Oscar.
Yeah, sure. Eventually. Well, now they are with the new fucking category. Don't even
I was going to ask you about that.
It's a horseshit fucking. What the fuck is that? It's the Billboard Awards of fucking movies. No, that's terrible.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Look.
Most popular movie.
Well, but see, here's the thing. As a layperson, because and I say that because obviously you're in the industry, and Rico is literally this side of the wall. He just needs the right break, honestly.
Right.
And I'm certainly more an observer. Like, I think there have been good movies that have also been popular that have lost out. Now, maybe the title of the category is a bad title. I won't disagree with that. But, like, for example, like we were just talking about Heath Ledger getting the Oscar for supporting, but Dark Knight really probably should have got Best Picture that year. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was that good.
Yeah, I don't remember
movie.
what it was up against. Yeah, I don't remember what it was up against.
Neither do I, but the point is it was that level of a film, and a lot of people's opinions that I've read about and heard talk about was that it didn't get consideration because it was popular. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm not saying just throw any, like, just shit, you know, don't put, like, cock blockers in that category, no matter how well it does. But, like, if you have something like Black Panther or the Infinity War. Now, I know you said you can't connect with the Marvel ones as much, but Black Panther had a serious impact because of what it talks about. Right, exactly. Yeah. So it's
for sure.
If you're going to put movies in that category, then it has to be popular, but it also has to be relevant in the sense of good content. So don't put just some shit movie in there because it was popular. Does that make sense?
But I don't. But what is the criteria by which they're judging? Is it box office?
Oh, that I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's a good question.
That's the thing is like that to me seems to be the yardstick. It doesn't seem like you can vote for what's most popular because you're measuring it by a larger audience saying, well, this was worth $1 billion to this audience. 50 Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Grey. The first movie made nearly $800 million. $800 million bucks. And was it an Oscar picture? I don't think so. I worked on it, but I certainly wouldn't have it, but that year it probably grossed more than anything. So it would have won that Oscar,
if that's the yardstick. Yeah. I understand.
If that's the yardstick, so what are you measuring it by? Like the day, there's going to be like the day of the blockbuster is over. Like there is no such thing as a blockbuster anymore because every movie breaks a record now. Right. This is the thing that happens is like everything comes out. Everything breaks a record, and so to say what's unless it's what
yoga hosers,
unless it's cock blockers.
Right,
but I don't know. I get what you're saying. It's like you look at the Billboard Awards and all they're doing is rewarding your sales.
Right.
So so what this award to me. It isn't going to be a group of nominees. It's going to be who made the most money. You know what I mean? And I think that that's sort of what it is. And if is there artistic merit in that is the question. Is like, did it win because it did carry artistic merit, or did it just win the box office? So that's sort of the question for me. And the other question is why. You know what I mean? Why?
Well, the why.
The category just sounded like an MTV shallow award. Like most popular movie, it's like
best kiss.
It's just
best kiss.
I had to go with what you're saying about Avatar. If they had that category, Avatar would have won most popular.
Right,
movie.
It would have. Yeah, it would have.
And absolutely. And he's going to make his fucking 5 or 4 or 100 sequels. And I mean, look, you're a fan of Avatar. Do you really need 4 more fucking sequels?
No, you don't. Sequels eventually lead to undermining the product. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is what's happening with Star Wars. This is my fear of Star Wars right now is that I don't think that that by continuing to bombard people with a yearly Star Wars movie is a really good idea at all. I think it's a really bad idea.
I agree.
And I think that you start doing all these sequels, prequels and side projects and all this other shit. I think that you dilute the product. You know what I mean? And like, for example, I think it was you the other day actually put a comment. Are you going to write a solo post? I think it was you that said it. I can't remember. Someone. Yeah. And my answer to it is like, the thing is, Solo was fine. And that's the problem and it made me think less of Rogue One because what I realized they do, there's a template that they're using for these Star Wars stories that I'm just starting to wrap my head around a little bit. And that template is introduce the misfit character. The misfit character then gets sent on to do something that they have to do that is against their own wishes or whatever. Then they have to go get a thing. And then when they get that thing, they realize they got to go get another thing. And then they finally at the end fight the level boss and, employ all the things they learned. And
you just described a Capcom game.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, that's what they are. They're video games now. I look at Rogue One and I look at Solo and I'm like, okay, we're at the part with the train now. I'm like, okay, now you got to escape Corellia, and it's like, so it just does this, but they're cookie cutter and you don't realize they're cookie cutter until you think about it and you go, yep, it's misfit has to go get the thing to get the next thing to get the final thing. And there you are. And there's five action sequences, Rogue One does it too. Rogue One does the exact same template. And it made me really upset about Rogue One after I realized it.
Matty, can I run I have a Star Wars movie idea I want to run by you guys.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, so what I would love is to have basically, they sort of did this. I mean, CJ hasn't seen Solo, so I'm trying not to spoil too much.
That's all right. Go ahead. At this point.
Well, they sort of did what I was thinking before I even saw Solo, which was I want to see the Godfather, Goodfellas of Star Wars.
Sure,
I want to see hardcore. I want to see a movie all about have Jabba the Hutt be essentially the Don Corleone, which you really look, they're not that fucking different.
Right, of course.
They're even the same fucking weight.
Yeah.
So you have the characters that are sort of semi-introduced in Solo, which is you have the criminal underworld, you have Lando, because I don't think they're going to make another Solo movie with Alden Ehrenreich, but they will definitely fucking make a Lando movie with fucking Childish Gambino, whatever the fuck his actual name is.
Right. Well, their plan was to do 3. Their plan was to do 3.
Yeah, but I think Alden did okay. He did better than I expected, but I still expected. I think we just had more. I think we all would have just preferred having old Harrison Ford stubbornly saying, "I'm 23 years old," and be like, "All right, that's it. We're just going to accept that this is young Han Solo." But I wanted to tie in because we all want an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. We all want a Boba Fett movie.
Right.
So combine everything, have it all about the seediness and crime world, which Boba Fett's a part of.
Yeah.
And then spoiler, CJ, fucking Darth Maul, as you realize, is basically the big boss.
Right. Yeah.
He's sort of the big boss of the criminal underworld. And now Darth Maul has this whole thing about wanting to kill fucking Kenobi. So you have him send out Boba Fett. So you have your Boba Fett movie. You get the fucking, you don't ever show his face. You get the same fucking actor who voiced Jango Fett to supply the voice. You never see Boba's face because if you see Boba's face, it just kills the whole thing. You see Michael Myers' face, you see fucking, if you take off the mask, it kills it completely. It's like hearing Charlie Chaplin's character talk. You're just like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to see that. The magic's gone.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
You have Boba Fett going out doing his own fucking mission, blah blah blah, and then you have Darth Maul periodically getting fucking info. At the same time, the other half of the movie is Kenobi like keeping eye on young Luke from a distance and maybe meeting up with him, not so much like a Doc Brown and Marty McFly thing, but you have to wonder, like for Back to the Future, how the fuck Marty and Doc met. Because that's a bizarre fucking relationship. Yeah. So how the fuck did old Ben Kenobi and Luke fucking stumble upon each other? Kind of like, oh yes, I know all about you. You're like, what the fuck? So then Boba finds Kenobi on Tatooine, and then tells fucking Maul. And this is kind of retcon because Rebels fucked it all up, but Maul
Rebels really threw a fucking wrench in that.
Yeah, so I'm really disappointed, but you could still tweak it enough where you could tweak it where like, well, I still have to fight the fucking Phoenix Squad or whatever the fuck, but I'll still go to Tatooine. And so he goes to Tatooine, and then he has that fucking. I mean, Rebels is a decent enough show, but that fight between Maul and Kenobi, as brief as it was fucking bad for me.
I thought it was great.
It was and it was just the fact that his lightsaber just was cut in half, and he just kind of relaxes it so both ways. So you just realize he's been fucking sliced in half down the middle from like head up down to the fucking groin.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
And Kenobi is kind of like in a weird way holding him together. Like he's kind of like holding his parts together as giggity. So yeah, I had my whole fucking thing, and then Rebels, like they made their own awesomeness, but I don't think a Kenobi movie by itself would work. I don't think a Maul movie by itself would work. I don't think a Boba Fett movie by itself would work. Although James Mangold would be the man to do it if he
he would. He sure.
I mean, what he did with Logan was fucking brilliant. And he could, as long as they don't recast Boba, that's all because I'm a type of guy who really fucking prefers continuity. Like I really am a hard shit for that.
Yeah, I think you should be. I think that they've given us continuity. We should actually be paying attention to it. So I think it's, they're trying to keep it. You know what I mean? So I completely agree.
I still want Hayden Christensen, as bad as he was in the prequels, I still want him to show up in like episode 9 and as a Force Ghost and like verbally bitch slap Kylo Ren and be like, dude, you fucking owe my daughter an apology. What's wrong with you?
Here's the other fucking part, dude, which is like going to make you like all fucking mad is is there is a line in fucking Force Awakens where Kylo Ren's talking to the helmet, and he says, "Show me again, the grandfather." He says, "Show me the darkness again," meaning to me that he's seen it from grandfather once already. However, I don't think that because Anakin was redeemed, he's not going to be showing him something. So that implies that he's been visited by an Anakin Force ghost. To me, is what that scene implies. Show me again the dark power of the dark is what that line is. What I always thought was going to be fucking great, and I thought they were going to do it, was that Snoke was actually putting fake projections of Anakin Skywalker into fucking Kylo Ren's head, and that would have been cool as fuck. And that's what
that would have been cool as fuck. But I read a theory by you once. I think it was about a year or two ago, where I said, "What if there are two different types of Force ghosts? What if there's a light side? What if there's a dark? Because there's balance on both sides. So theoretically, there is evil Yoda ghost somewhere out there.
I can see that.
Maybe the Luke that we got was the dark side fucking Luke. Maybe that's why it didn't seem like Luke at all. Because somewhere in another fucking part called Akri, fucking, you have your actual Luke. He's just kind of like, what the fuck? Everyone's telling me I'm dead? No, dude, I'm still alive.
Right. So yeah. I can see what you're saying.
I remember that part where like Kylo's getting some fucking tutelage, and I agree. It could have totally been Snoke fucking with Kylo and everything.
Right.
But it also could be two separate yin yangs of the Force. So I think that would be more interesting, where it's Vader, and then you can see that conflict where it almost is like a devil and angel on Kylo's shoulder, where
that's interesting.
It's fucking Darth Vader in the costume, in the helmet, and everything, and it's almost silhouette is red, because usually the Force ghosts are usually kind of bluish.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have it like kind of. Yeah, so like have a Darth Vader red silhouetted fucking Force ghost arguing with Anakin Skywalker, and like
that's not a bad idea at all.
Kylo Ren is in the middle, like a kid with his parents fucking screaming at each other, and like the middle of a divorce. Like
that's actually a pretty interesting idea.
But I also think they should bring fucking Padme. Bring her back. I mean, Natalie Portman does not need to be covered in Star Wars again. She can move the fuck on. But I was really hoping fucking Rian Johnson with the time jump, the time travel shit. I thought there was going to be a hardcore connection to the prequels. I thought they were going to make a bold statement, which is, if you don't like the prequels, fuck you. They are part of Star Wars. You have to.
I was expecting it.
Yeah,
I was
hoping, and honestly, that would have been a really risky move for Rian Johnson, because look, at this point, anything that any filmmaker does for anything with Star Wars or Marvel or DC, the fans are going to be in uproar, and that's
right. Yeah,
I've said it before. The fucking best things and worst things about Star Wars is the fucking fans, and I'm a fan. You're a fan. CJ's a fan, but like there are these fucking trolls that just like bullying the shit out of people to the point where they're like contemplating suicide. Like,
yeah, I saw that.
Like, I didn't like fucking Jar Jar Binks. I had a birthday party where I beat the shit out of Jar Jar Binks because there was a guy in costume that my mom had. Like, she knew this guy, and he had like a Jar Jar Binks like mascot costume. She brought him to my party. It was circa 1999. I was 8 years old, and I just ran up and punched Jar Jar in the fucking stomach. And I mean, I wasn't stupid. I knew it was a fucking guy, but I was just more pissed off that my mother was like insisting, like, Jar Jar's going to be, your fucking party. And
that's hilarious.
So I think Star Wars has hope.
I think so. I think so. I think they're starting to realize there's a problem. I just, I believe it. I think there's no way they're not looking at some of the feedback and taking it to heart. You know what I mean?
Well, if they had actually looked at the feedback during Last Jedi, they would not have fucking fired Colin Trevorrow. They would have listened to Mark Hamill. They would have, I mean, do I think Kathleen Kennedy needs to be booted? No, but I think she needs a serious fucking understanding that what she wants is not the same as what we want.
Right, exactly. I think that's completely true. I think oops, sorry, I lost you there.
No, you're good, Matt. I didn't mean to cut you off. Please.
No, I don't think she has the agenda people are saying she has. I just think that she's giving, I think in the case of Rian Johnson, for me, the way it seemed, from everything I heard, from everything I read, from the way it just looked when you saw things, she sounded like she was giving him far too much leash. And I think again, this is the problem when it came down to stuff like, when it came down to, what do you call it? Like at any of these movies that they do give the director a leash, and it seems like that's what she does. Man, I swear to God, they had to reshoot the last fucking half of Rogue One. They had to reshoot the entirety of Solo. They had to reshoot stuff, So what they're doing is I think they're kind of getting the idea now that like, oh, maybe we are giving them too much leash, And I think that, while it's good to be an auteur, you got to have someone there to tell you fucking no. And this is a problem with what I felt was with George Lucas's movies, which I'm starting to actually appreciate now, is that no one was there to tell George no. No one did it. No one said no, George. And no is a very important part of the process, part of the creative process and the filmmaking process. There is no, you know what I mean? And there are studio people who will tell directors, other producers, they'll have to say, no, we can't do that. No, I don't think that works. And there has to be that dialogue, or otherwise, my brother and I call it the curse of knowing. And and what the curse of knowing is that you know too much about your own product. You know too much about your own script. So you then fuck it up, because you assume other people are aware too. You know what I mean? And
right.
I think that's sort of a danger when it comes to these Star Wars movies is that, I think Rian Johnson made his movie and he knew what he was doing, but didn't let anybody else in on the joke, and no one told him no. You know what I mean? And that's eventually led to a movie that was just remarkably disappointing. That's the only way I can describe it, is just remarkably disappointing.
What Star Wars needs is it needs a fucking Kevin Feige. It needs someone who knows the lore in and out.
It does. And his name's Matt Granger, and he works.
Well, Rico,
I mean,
real quick, so Matt, we did this thing several episodes back. I don't remember which one it was. We're both fans of the show Dinner for Five with Jon Favreau. Did you ever watch that?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't
so the concept is Jon Favreau would sit down with like 4 or 5 other people he knew at dinner, literally at dinner, and they would just film it, and they would have a casual conversation about whatever came up, kind of like this, but different. And so we decided to do our own Dinner for Five in the sense that we couldn't sit down with 5 people and have dinner, but we picked our 5 and why we would do it. And right. I think you would find Rico's really interesting. Do you remember your 5?
I think I do. I think I said, I mean, I would be at the table, but I would not be really part of the conversation. I'd just be kind of like the waiter in the background. So sure, yeah. it would be Kathleen Kennedy, Colin Trevorrow, J.J. Abrams. Did I say J.J.?
No, I don't think J.J. Kevin. It was the 3 I remember that are vital to the conversation are Colin Trevorrow, Kathleen Kennedy, and then Feige, because you wanted Feige to tell Kathleen Kennedy how to do this.
Yeah, and I also had Mark Hamill and Kevin.
Well, yeah, I think that's a great idea, Mark Hamill.
And I was very adamant. I was like, I do not want these guys to gang up on Kathleen Kennedy. Yes. Saying right. You're ruining this. I don't want there to be. I mean, there's a lot of fucking flack about how she's a woman and running Star Wars, and I'm like, who gives a shit what the gender is? If you love something, you love it, and if you know it, you know it. I don't give a shit what. I don't care what your ethnicity is. I don't care what your gender is. Whatever. But
I completely agree.
I was very much like she sort of rose to the ranks because she was Spielberg's assistant.
Was that where she came from?
Yeah, she was his assistant, and then she became a producer.
On Raiders.
Raiders
she was the assistant.
She was what?
She was the assistant on Raiders. That's where she got the start.
Yeah, she was the assistant on Raiders, and then she worked. I mean, Kevin Smith has this great line where he's like, in the Hollywood world, when you become producer, no one goes to film school wanting to become a producer, so you just sort of fail up.
Right, exactly. It's totally a way of failing upwards. Complete. That's how you become a studio executive too.
So I was of the opinion that she should just. I wanted to know more about what her decision was to stand behind Rian Johnson's vision, to completely ignore JJ's decision, to fire Colin without really any out, and to ignore Mark Hamill's please, basically saying look, if anyone knows the fucking character of Luke, it's me.
Right.
And I'm not just agreeing that Rian Johnson knows his shit, because he very kind of snarky published photos of his library, and there was some Star Wars books, and it showed a passage of the ways of the Jedi, where it was a force projection essentially.
I saw that. Yeah.
So that's in the lore, but at the same time, we're well, okay, that's an interesting fucking thing, but couldn't have Luke been on that fucking planet, still die? Say Luke dies, regardless of the ending of Last Jedi. Could he have actually physically been there to die?
Right. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Why not? What would that take from us apart from okay, so he basically sent a Skype message. No pun to the fact that we're on Skype, but he basically had a Skype call and just he lost the connection.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
And why did that kill him? I mean, you know much about Star Wars. Is there a force power battery that just was depleted because he used up all this shit?
Well, here's the thing: is they added a line in the video in the DVD when the DVD came out. They added a line where Kylo Ren says when he thinks Rey is projecting herself, they added in a line. He goes, "You can't be doing this because the effort would kill you." Is what Kylo Ren says to Rey now in the version that came out now. In the theaters, it didn't say that. So they've added that little line of dialogue to sort of make it make sense. You know what I mean? So it's, But
why would that kill him? That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Why would that?
No idea.
Yeah, that's my point. If they just said, "Oh well, if you fucking transmit yourself across the universe, then that will fucking kill you, and here's why." But just say, "Oh, the midichlorian can't will fucking deplete." Even just to be that douche, say midichlorians.
Right. You know? Yeah. No, I don't know.
We can do this till the end of time.
Yeah, Matt, we really could.
Right, exactly.
But honestly, dude, I want to fucking thank you. You've been awesome
you have
show.
that meeting, don't you?
Love to have you back,
dude. I'm happy to help out, man. I'm really happy to. I'm really happy to gab about this stuff, and I, to be honest with you, I enjoy sharing stories, and I enjoy sharing little bits of knowledge here and there. What I've learned over the last 20 years or so. To me, I'm always happy to help somebody out, and that's how we get by in the world, and that's how. That's how, a fellow filmmaker, who I kind of know, messaged me last night. He had some of his financing fall through for one of his pictures that he's doing. And he's in a kind of a panic mode. And so he just out of the blue kind of just messaged me. And he's like, I need this amount of money because I had this investor for X amount of millions or whatever that fell out and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And he's like, would you have anybody, that and I immediately connected him with 3 different people. And the reason I did it, he goes, I can't believe you'd share your contacts with me and do this, and go out of your way to help me. And I'm like, dude, that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? That's what we do. If more of us were like that, we'd probably live in a better fucking world. You know what I mean? And so that's the thing. So I'm happy to help you guys at any time. And I had a great. I should run, but I've had a great time.
No, and we appreciate it. And listen, Matt, even we don't have millions of followers or anything like that, but if you want to come out here on our show and announce something, you're welcome to it. I mean, we'll get it out there and broadcast it as best we can. So consider us a vessel if you ever need it.
I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it very much. And you never know. You never know. Things change in the business overnight. So you never know.
That's what they say.
Yes, sir. I saw it happen to Hugh Jackman. So
thank you. I'll echo Rico's sentiments. Thank you for coming on, man. It's been one of the most exciting conversations I've ever been a part of, period.
Well, you got a few of the stories. There's another 20 years of the stories.
we'll have to.
We want many more episodes, my friend.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man. All right.
Thanks,
guys.
Matt.
Well, thanks again. No problem at all. You guys have a good night.
You too, my man.
You too, man. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
All right. So, Rico, we're still recording, so just be aware of that. I wanted to end the show off, but I wanted to let Matt go do what he had to do before we closed it off. Wow.
I was worried.
It's really the only word I have. What?
I was worried that, he was going to be like, dude, I got to go. Thanks for letting me on. But we're like, he just was the fucking gift that kept on giving, my friend.
He was awesome. Really great guest. That's not disrespect to any of our previous guests. We've had some really great guests up to this point and including, so it's just getting better and better. So,
note to future guests, if you got some fucking stories about making someone's career and about, even if you're just knocking a celebrity in a fucking bush, we want to hear that shit.
Dude, that Hugh Jackman story blew my fucking mind. Blew my fucking mind.
When he went on his first arc, because he had a whole arc of let me tell you about this story, and he was name dropping.
Yeah.
Not in a shitty way. It was very much he was just kind of oh yeah, Brian. And you're like, well, fucking singer? You're like, yeah.
He's talking about Brian Singer like I talk about you. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but you know what I mean? Rico called me last week. I know. There was one point I really wanted to ask him, but he fucking controlled the show today. This may have been the first time where I was I'm just going to sit back and shut the fuck up. But I wanted to ask him dude, do you ever get a combination of both starstruck and normalcy where Brian Singer calls you and you just look at your phone dude, Brian Singer's calling me, and then oh well, it's just Brian, but you're holy shit, Brian Singer's calling me. Yeah.
I really want to ask that, because in retrospect, he is sort of that now for us. Where it's dude, Matty's calling me, but holy shit, Matty Granger's calling me.
No, he was awesome. I'm really glad he came on. It was really intriguing. He really had a lot to say, and it sounds like he's really excited to come back. So I'll be glad to have him back whenever he wants. So, hey, so everyone listening, it's a long one. You're probably hearing this as a part 2 because looking at the length of this thing, I'm probably going to split it up. But thank you all for listening. Normally we have some funny way to end the episode. I can't. That would disrespect what we just listened to for the last 3 hours. So thank you all for listening, and we'll definitely catch you on the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Here are a few thank yous, and to let you know how you can get in touch with and follow the show and us. First, a very big thank you to our special guest, Matt Granger. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram at Reverend Matty. And while you're online, check out his website, The Granger Bros, at www.thegrangerbros.com. For PodAskew, go to iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music to listen to, subscribe, rate, and comment on the show, or the Listen Notes podcast search engine at www.listennotes.com. Go there, type in PodAskew, all one word, and you can stream it right there. If you want to agree with or yell at us directly, follow Rico, me, and the show on Twitter. The show is at PodAskew, Rico is at Rants Rico, and I'm at M_Blade. If you need to contact the show for promotional reasons, tweet Stephanie at PodAskewPR. As I mentioned before, our special guest Matt Granger is at Reverend Matty, and also on Instagram at Reverend Matty. Check out Rico's YouTube channel, Rico's Rants, on YouTube at www.youtube.com/Rico's Rants. Thank you to Dubbed in English for our opening theme music, 96 Reasons. They're no longer online, but you can contact me for a copy of the full song or the whole Plan 9 EP. Thank you to Samuel Lemons for our closing music, Theme Askew. You can find his music on SoundCloud at www.soundcloud.com/Samuel-Lemons. Finally, our biggest thank you is to you, everyone, for listening. Rico and I really appreciate your time and look forward to bringing you another exciting episode soon.
Thanks for the donuts, motherfucker.
Damn it. PodAskew. 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 PodAskew.